Mr. Okhiria Agbonsuremi is a development associate, broadcast journalist, editor, TV and radio host, PR and media consultant. He has a background of a successful and outstanding journalism practice spanning over 30 years. Mr. Agbonsuremi holds a master's degree in International and Strategic Studies and a higher national diploma in mass communications. He is the executive director of the Progressive Impact Organization for Community Development, PRIMORG. PRIMORG became a huge success in development works within 2 years of its operations. The group currently runs a number of pro-governance projects, including a syndicated anti-corruption radio and social media project supported by the MacArthur Foundation. PRIMORG is currently volunteering with the FCT COVID-19 Media Sensitization Program in Abuja. Allow me to introduce you to Mr. Okhiria Agbonsuremi.
The Progressive Impact Organization for Community Development was conceived to join in the very, very strong community of civil society groups in Nigeria, organizations that are working to enthrone good governance and work in the areas that would assist the citizenry to participate in governance. Of course, you know, democracy is young in Nigeria, and what the Progressive Impact Organization has set out to do in the last 2 years since we came on board have been to promote good governance, promote participation, and we have actually majored more in the areas of accountability. We have a focus on fighting and for the enthronement of a regime of accountability in Nigeria, so that all things we do can find a place with the people's input. More importantly, in the areas we are focused on in the last 1 year has been amplifying corruption reports, working with the support from the MacArthur Foundation and the cohorts of very, very hardworking media organizations who are digging into corruption in Nigeria. We have worked with them to be able to get to the roots of corruption. And the job we do is to amplify what they have done by way of investigation. We take them onto the social media radio network that we do. We broadcast in so many radio stations across Nigeria to highlight the importance of the work that these journalists are doing. And the aim is to draw attention so that government and the citizens can take actions against some of these infractions that are available in our space.
Okay. That's really, really good, sir. And you've really done a phenomenal job, even within the last 2 years, in terms of making sure that you are able to drive accountability, especially your media programs sponsored by the MacArthur Foundation. I actually watch those, and it's very rich in content on transparency and accountability. So I wanted to just segue into the COVID-19 pandemic. So with your observation of the pandemic as it was going through globally from China and to different parts of the country, of the world, like, I know you were highlighting that, are we ready for when it comes to Nigeria? So can you just let us know here how you started amplifying voices on that and what you are doing even till today in partnership with
I think, thank you for that question. I think we were like very, very proactive as an organization. We went into research. We went into research immediately to see when, where, and how has the world dealt with a pandemic of this nature. And the last that we saw was 1918. We did our research. How did it move around the world? Of course, by 1918, the volume of international travels and movement were not as much. But we discovered that there were very many things that were wrong then. And unfortunately, those generations, the generations that saw the 1918 flu, are no more alive, and we are seeing this as a new thing. So as an organization, we started to ask questions. What do we do? How do we get prepared? We were very, very conscious of the fact that the virus in China was going to go around the world. We were very conscious of it. And we were very conscious of the fact that if it comes to Nigeria, we are going to have a big challenge. And we needed to start to begin to do sensitization. So we went into some coalition, talk with our colleagues we are working with and say, look, this thing is happening out there. If it gets here, are we ready? The NGO work will suffer. The civil society work will shift. There will be a shift in our focus. We may not even be able to begin to look at other things that we are focusing on. Women, children, is there a good road? Are we, even accountability might actually come to center around the COVID-19. That was why we started to change our narratives on the engagements that we are having as a civil society group with people. We started to look at what will the role be, how much of information will the public have. And since we were already very strong on radio, we have some educative programs. We're working with Kiss FM. We have other radio stations across Nigeria that we're working with. We took advantage of our strength in the social media and started to highlight the dangers if we don't get ready. And fortunately, some of the advice we gave them were taken, but majority of the advice we gave were neglected. The government didn't take action on time. I can remember that we're shouting house, we're shouting that, look, lock this country down, stop the flights from coming in, but the government didn't take action on time. And when it came, it was like running after the problem. So as an NGO, what we did was to look at the society that we are in. We asked ourselves, what are those roles we can play? Of course, our name is a progressive impact organization for community development. We are looking at what are we going to do to our community, and Nigeria remains our community. So we progressively made some very strong presence, very strong impact on the people to the extent that some persons thought we were alarmists. We were not. We were talking things that we were raising the temperature, the political temperature. Until recently, when people started to come to tell us, how did you see it? How were you able to manage to get to know that things like this were going to happen?
Yeah.
Of course,
so what was the thought behind it? Definitely. So what was the thought behind it? Sir?
But they were very simple. They were very simple logic.
Yes.
The coronavirus, even before the United Nations named it COVID-19, and the coronavirus is not new to the world, but to the definition of it as it is new, and we didn't have a cure for it. I was aware that Nigeria was not prepared. Of course, you know how good we are. Let me use that word with our infrastructure. Our health infrastructure, how good it was. It was these fears that made us to begin to think that, look, I remember that one of the articles I wrote then, as far back as over 5 weeks ago was, you can save yourself from impending embarrassment if you isolate yourself. And people were asking questions, what do you mean by isolating yourself? Until the government came with the isolation program and said, look, isolate yourself. They decided to say, what is the meaning of isolation? How did you get to know that we needed to isolate ourselves? Of course, we're borrowing from what was happening around the world. We saw the isolation in China. We saw it in South Korea. We saw it in Iraq. We saw what the Saudi Arabians did. We saw what was happening in Spain and in Italy. So it was not going to be different from what we're going to see in Nigeria. So that was what gave us to begin to tell Nigerians that, look, we need to work hard to reduce the impact of this disease that we are not aware of. But as it were, we are still on the turf, working with several civil society organizations, with the government, and then even as at yesterday, we still issued a statement, wrote a letter to the finance minister, wrote a letter to the task force, we wrote a letter to the humanitarian ministry, advising them on what we think can be done to make sure that we do not get too deep into the crisis.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So, sir, so like with your partnership with the with the FCT Media Task Force, so what was your role in that process, and how did you use your foresight to work with the knowledge exchange with FCT to get people to be aware and control the spread of the pandemic?
Our involvement with the FCT actually
Mm-hmm.
was a continuation of the job we're already doing.
Okay.
What we did was to make contact with the FCT. I sent messages out to those who are already working, and we told them that
Mm-hmm.
we have vast resources. We have experience in the media, and we are already having a lot of things that we could give if we work with them. And we developed some templates and we shared with them, and they said, please come in. So we went into the FCT and they placed us on the media team. Of course, that is an area that we are very familiar with. And that
Okay.
team is wonderfully working to get the citizens in the FCT, the residents of the FCT, sensitized. PRIMORG brought in the wealth of experience, our contacts, the believability that we have as an NGO, my background as somebody who has been in the media space, and things that possibly, I will even dare say, things that government officials will not be believed if they say it. When we say it, they say, oh, because it is coming from you, we will believe it. So we have tried to get the people to understand, because our main aim is to get fewer and fewer people infected. We want to get
Yes.
as many people as possible to get the information so that they don't get infected. So we are on
Definitely.
radio. Like today, I have been to about 3-4 radio stations on
Oh,
behalf of the
wow.
FCT minister, and we go
Oh, wow.
around talking, doing sensitization. We also follow them to where they are collecting samples in the course of
I
the community
see.
testing to get information. We follow the mobile courts to see how they are following it up. Of course, you also know that silently, what we are doing is to also measure the accountability of the government in the processes that they are doing. So we are also taking notes and we make suggestions to them. This is how we think this should be done. This is how we think this is wrong. And of course, when Abba Kyari was buried with a fanfare in Abuja, we shouted all out, criticized it, and told government we should not allow it to repeat itself. And the FCT minister came up to say that will be the last mistake anybody will ever make now. And we're very happy that since then they have tried to educate the people, tell citizens, admit the errors that were made, and they are on the path to getting everybody aware in the FCT that it is dangerous to expose themselves to the effects of the coronavirus.
Okay. So, sir, can now the country is getting ready to kind of slowly open the economy. From next Monday, there's going to be a certain time, I think from 9 to 5, and then there's a curfew from 8. So I wanted you to just kind of let us know what is your opinion on that, and is it something that we should do now? Is it too soon? Or what are your thoughts on that, based on what
Now
you have
let me
seen
begin.
so far?
Let me begin from our responsibility as civil society organizations. We are going to redouble our efforts as a club of civil society groups. PRIMORG on our own, we are going to redouble our efforts, because the challenge from Monday is going to be enormous. It is going to be very, very, and it is difficult. And the results, we are anticipating a spike, an exponential increase in infections. We don't want to pretend about this. We have made these things known to the relevant authorities that if from 4th of May, the doors are open and they are not well regulated and people are allowed to go back to Egypt, as it were, we are going to have an exponential increase. We are going to have a lot of problems. And that is where the role of the NGOs are. So we're also working with civil society organizations to say, look, we cannot sit idle and watch this arrow that is coming enter into our eyes. The government has been frustrated to say, look, you can go back, let us resume our work. But it was not auspicious for the government to have done so. But unfortunately,
Okay.
the government couldn't make provisions, couldn't provide the palliatives that is needed. People were complaining, so
Yes.
they had to bend backward and say, let us open the doors. Now, what do? Are we going to allow the doors to be open and we don't help to sensitize the citizens? So we need to redouble our efforts. We need to form more coalition. We need to work hard, provide information for the people, for them to know that going out without observing the rules will be dangerous to them, and advise those who must not go out to remain indoors. For us, we believe that it was a decision taken in a hurry, but once it has been taken, we must join the government to find ways to provide as much information as possible so that citizens will know that it is not going to be an easy task and that we are anticipating an increase in the number of infections because the people will come out and they will spread it.
Okay, that is, in fact, you've even segued to my next question. So what you've said is that civil society organizations should really take this as an opportunity to do more sensitization of the citizenry on the importance of observing the social distancing and some of the requirements to stay protected from infection. So just to kind of double down, form alliances, form coalitions, and increase awareness. So that's even an opportunity for them to even increase relevance. So my question to you is, what would be your advice for a non-profit organization preparing for something like this? Nobody could have foreseen this COVID-19 pandemic, but PRIMORG was able to strategically position itself to become a thought leader in terms of the happenings around the world on pandemics and different things like that, and really linking to your core thematic area, which is governance, anti-corruption, transparency, and accountability. So how have you been able to, so what would be your advice for civil society organizations in a case like this to really position itself to be a relevant thought leader in a crisis like the COVID pandemic?
Okay, now we must have a focus on what we are set out to do. We must not look on developing society. Of course, the work of all civil society groups is development. And when we say development, we are looking at the human factors. We are looking at the human beings. We are looking at the environment. We are looking at how to better the life of the people. We are looking at how to improve the quality of life, how to prevent wars, how to prevent diseases, that is the general job of the NGOs or the civil society groups, depending on the thematic area that one has chosen. We chose good governance. And of course, there's nothing that can impact on good governance, on participation, on an accountability than even a worldwide pandemic like a COVID-19. So for organizations, no matter your thematic area, what we will recommend is for each organization to be focused, to be able to read ahead of its own time, and read ahead of events, and then be very, very conscious of what is happening around the world. Because we never really could have imagined that one virus in China would shut down the entire world. Now it has shut down the entire world, and we are feeling the impact. I can tell you that many civil society organizations that were not ready have shut down operations. They have shut down operations. They are at home. They are waiting for the virus to go. I don't think that is how we should work. Yes, we must prevent ourselves. We must try as much as possible not to get infected. But the work needs to be done because the society depends on us for valuable and dependable information with integrity. The government is not believable. Okay, let's assume that follow the money is not assuming follow the money decides not to go out this time. Where we PRIMORG get information to trade in with in the areas of fighting for accountability with the presidential task force. If say no money, we're not say no campaign co-chaired by Ezewan Wagu. If they were not following the palliatives, they sent people with cameras around to follow the palliatives. If they didn't follow, how will PRIMORG and other groups be able to know if these palliatives were getting to the desired locations? Now, NGOs that are up and doing will find a place. They will find the energy Even if they were to work from home, assuming that they cannot even go out, they can work on the net, they can work on use the social media to begin to advance the cause of what they want to do. So if to answer your question directly, each NGO must be ready for any eventuality in the change of its templates. You must adapt it to what is happening, and you can quickly discuss with your sponsors, your funders, to say, look, you gave us money to do a town hall meeting, but we cannot do town hall meeting. Can we use this money to do education? Can we use it to do enlightenment? And most of the organizations will quickly adapt. And we are lucky to, I'm lucky to have, PRIMORG is lucky to have worked with so many organizations who understood this way. And one of our major supporters, the MacArthur Foundation, actually did an email to all those they are supporting in Nigeria to say, how are you going to, is there anything you want us to do to assist you? Are you changing your thematic area? How are you adjusting to what you want to do? They gave us all the opportunity to shift, to change, to adjust, even move funds from where what it was originally meant for, to be able to do the work at hand. Of course, you know that if everybody is shut down, we cannot do the job that we ought to have done. So each NGO must be willing to adjust itself, adjust your templates, adjust your thematic areas in consultation with your stakeholders and the people you are working with to be able to fit it. Shut it down was not an option for PRIMORG.
That's kind of like what I'm looking at. Is like what you did was you decided to adapt to what was going on, to the present condition. And for me, as somebody that looks at PRIMORG as an organization that is really going on a very forward, quick trajectory, is that you all looked at the opportunity, looked at COVID-19 and said, how do we further serve the society as a civil society organization? So you now customized your thematic area, which is based on what I saw on the website: accountability, transparency, good governance. So you now said, okay, the data you did, and you conducted research. So you said the data that we have available now, how do we use it now to then and create a project that's safe for you and your team to then implement something that would now make an impact and then increase your relevance as an organization. And it's really amazing to see, because I've been seeing you've been really, really active in the media. So can you just give us an idea of, you mentioned a couple of organizations, a couple of campaigns, Follow the Money, and then you talked about
Say No campaign,
Say No campaign, and some other initiatives. Can you just mention, some organizations that have actually been very active and provided you the data that you needed to continue your work?
Now, our strongest source of data were media houses that are doing investigative journalism. You're looking at the Premium Times of this world. You are looking at the ICIR. You are looking at the Cable. You are looking at Sahara Reporters. You are looking at Daily Trust. These were this trend. They have remained our backbone, because there are areas we can't go. We didn't also have the strength to also do some of investigative journalism. And some of the jobs that they have done in recent times, you'll be amazed how they were quickly able to adapt to the COVID-19 thing, doing investigative reports. And then Follow the Money did wonderfully well. We even had to track the Almajiris. The Almajiri, Almajiri Child Rights Initiative is one organization that was also following the Almajiris. And you know that because of the COVID-19, almost all the northern states started to evacuate Almajiris from their states to other states. They were caught in the crossfire. They were caught in the crossfire of the COVID-19. Kaduna State Governor told us that amongst the Almajiris that were evacuated and deported, if I were to use that word, deported to Kaduna State, 5 of them tested positive to COVID-19. And we have about between 9 and 11 million Almajiris in northern parts of Nigeria, and they are being deported as we speak. They are being kept in isolation camps all over the northern states. It is the
Wow.
work of the the Amanjeri Child Rights Initiative that we handle. Their data we use to start advocacy. They start to talk to, send letters to governors, make sure that if you are moving the Almajiris, these young boys, if you are moving them around, can we have a template you are using to move them around? What happens to them? Are they going back to their families? If they were so poor to stay with their families, their parents, how will they cope with their families currently? If you not take them back to their families, what is the government planning for them? After COVID-19, are these children going to come back to the streets? What are they going to go? Where are they going to go back to? And we also discovered that some of these Almajiris are not even Nigerians. Some came in from Chad, some came in from Niger. So what are we doing? Because the Almajiri phenomenon is a West African problem. You don't find Almajiris in Saudi Arabia. You don't find them in Sudan. You don't find them in Iraq and Iran. It's a West African problem. So how is Nigeria dealing with them? It's a major problem, because we have over 9 million of them on the streets without the formal education. And when we talk about formal education, we are talking about skill acquisition. It's good to learn. It is good to learn the Quran, and we support the idea that they should learn the Quran. But in addition to learning the Quran, what happens after learning the Quran? And the question we have been taking all over to the governors is, can you tell us what has happened to the Almajiris of 25 years ago? The Almajiris of 50 years ago, where are they now?
What are they doing?
Where are they? What are they? They are the ones riding the Okada. They are the ones pushing the trucks. They are the ones, the shoemakers you are having around. You don't find those Almajiris as our medical doctors. You don't find such Almajiris as our professors in the universities. So can we change the narrative? Can we change the narrative? So these are some of the works we are doing. So even when it is COVID-19, you can see that there's a pop-up in an area that is novel. And we are taking opportunity to be sure that we do not go back on the issue of Almajiri, to be sure that governors take actions and that we don't see them back on the street. Of course, right here in Abuja, we have Almajiris in Gwagwalada, we have them in Karu, we have them in the suburbs. There are not many in the city, because in the city center, because the government will not allow them to move around. But if you go to our suburb, go to Kuje, you will find them. Now, what is the government doing to be sure that after the COVID-19, we don't have Almajiris back on the streets?
I see. That is so. That's quite comprehensive. So, because if we don't address the Almajiri issue, that means that the COVID-19 will spread, like it will spread all over the country very, very quickly, especially in the northern areas, and then even going into the southern areas of Nigeria. So that's really amazing that you're working with different organizations, and with the data that they provide, even during this process, that you are able to even conduct advocacy right now as you are doing. So I just really want to commend you in terms of the work that you're doing, because it is a lot of the organizations just said, okay, COVID-19, we're just going to close our doors, we're going to shut down. But you didn't do that. You actually decided to just remain active. And with me, when it comes to advocacy, when I teach people, it's you have to get the research, and that's what PRIMORG did. Got the research and then started advocating for what is needed in society. And now PRIMORG has now become a thought leader, with key stakeholders, to now become a voice for accountability, transparency, and good governance. I really, really appreciate you, sir, for your time. Is there anything you want to say, advice for civil society before you close out in terms of?
Yes, I would say that our strength lie in collaboration. Our strength lies in collaboration. The strength of PRIMORG today will be zero if we are not collaborating with our partners. And that is what I will encourage NGOs to do. Civil society groups cannot achieve the result alone. Of course, when you achieve a result, everybody take it in as their success story. And that is the beauty of the job. PRIMORG will not be able to achieve anything if we are not partnering with all these organizations we have mentioned, with the several journalists, who are doing investigative reports across Nigeria. And of course, with media organizations like Kiss FM, like Nigeria Info, Kiss FM in Lagos, Albaka FM in Ilorin, with Blaze FM in Anambra State, so many stations around Nigeria, we will not be able to achieve anything if they do not give us the kind of support. And I also tell you that some of these radio stations give us free airtime because of the content that we produce. Yes, because of the content that we produce. Kiss FM Abuja does not take money from us for politics extra, which we use for advocacy twice a week. We just run free of charge, and because of the content that we have, they are able to see that the people listen to them. Albaka FM in Ilorin don't take money from us in taking public conscience on radio. They take it and they broadcast the content free of charge. So if an NGO is working very hard, if you work hard and you can develop your templates, you will also find partners. It may not be media houses. You'll find partners that will cooperate with you and enable you read very well, do your research, and be able to lash on the content you have, work with them, and you are able to make the impact. It is the impact we are talking about when we talk about development work.
Definitely. Definitely. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us, and keep up the good work, and we'll continue to follow the work that you're doing with PRIMORG. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being around, and have a wonderful day. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. You too. Bye-bye. Hello, everyone. My name is Efwa Elens Ede with Social Impact Consulting. I'm a development consultant with 20 years of experience working with NGOs, international NGOs, and bilateral agencies to work in project support, monitoring and evaluation, and civil society strengthening. So now, I saw that local NGOs lack the capacity to manage large-scale projects, which can in turn impact their various communities because they have the connection based on their backgrounds. So this made me create this channel so that I can add value to you for free once you subscribe to this channel and get notified of upcoming videos. I look forward to hearing from you.